Hey everyone, here is a walk around video of the Porsche Speedster replica that we're just about wrapping up here. Car came in just shy of 2 months ago for a number of things. So why don't we talk about what we did here? And I'll try and put a link to the some of the early videos showing this car when it first came in the description down there, so you can kind of see the before and after. So one of the major things and one of the first things that we did with the car was put a brand new interior in it. So this car, when the interior came in, and again, I'll try and post a link to some early videos showing it, it was not only like ratty and just in really bad shape, but it was also disgusting. I think that the previous owner must have had like a giant dog or something that they like carried around in this car with them all the time or something. There was like dog hair on all the carpet. The carpet was all ripped. The seats were not too bad as far as like being ripped or whatever, but very faded, and the same with the dash, just in very poor condition. Door panel, everything in the interior in this car was pretty much trash. Like literally tore everything out and put in brand new everything. And so yeah, my upholstery guy Santiago took on the challenge and did an amazing job, as he always does. You can kind of see the dash here with the hood over the instruments and the pads around the edge. We kind of went with kind of a, I don't know, maybe modern style is not right, but with the exposed screws showing on it all the way around. It kind of matches the snaps on the body of the car for the for like a cover of some sort. But anyway, yeah, door panels had them kind of emulate the style of 356 or Speedster door panels, where there's the pocket that runs the full length along the bottom that has a little bit of a curve to it. And then, of course, the seats, yeah, tore those all apart and made brand new foam for them, and then went to town covering them and so on. Additionally, the rails that they were mounted on, which allowed the seats to move fore and aft, were completely rusted, frozen, where you couldn't move the seats. So I went ahead and put some new rails on the seats, on both seats and stuff like that. And then while we're at it, had them go ahead and make a boot for the shifter and the e-brake lever. So yeah, really happy with how this interior came out, and the black and red combo is just killer. It's totally sick. Put a new steering wheel in it too, so that's one of the few things left to do on this car. Is I just need to take it for a little bit more of a drive, figure out where center is, and then center the steering wheel. I think when you're driving it now, going straight with the car is like that or something. I put it on in some arbitrary orientation, but yeah, so I need to figure out where center is, straighten the steering wheel out, and then put the button in. And I might tackle the horn on here, although it's pretty much a huge disaster up underneath there. So we shall see about that. I really like cars to leave here with working horns, but in the case of this car and this guy's budget, we'll see. I'll take a look at it and see if I can work some electrical magic. But yeah, huge thing on there. Another huge thing that we did, actually a lot that we did on this car was cosmetic, now that I think about it. But another very big cosmetic thing was the paint. So this car being fiberglass, you know, it's got its fair share of cracks and stuff like that kind of scattered around the body. But when it was in, the paint overall was extremely dull. And it had a lot of like scuff marks and just light scratching, just like everywhere on the car. I mean, it looked fairly terrible. And again, I'll try and link to an earlier video where you can appreciate how bad this car looked when it came in. So had my paint and body magician Renee go and do a full color sand, polish, and buff on this thing. And I mean, it still does have flaws on it, particularly on the hood, where you can see it had a lot of like checking in the paint, and that's probably related to the underlying fiberglass. But you know, overall now the car, you know, from I don't know, say 10 feet away, it looks pretty damn good, right? I mean, you can still see flaws in it, but compared to how the car looked when it came in, Very happy with how this sort of shaped up with just, a day or so worth of color sanding and buffing to really try and get the most out of the paint without repainting the whole thing. So yeah, look at that. It's actually not a bad looking car. So speaking of cosmetics, the other thing that this car was really suffering from was the wheel and tire combo. So it is a late model VW chassis. It's actually a 77 standard Beetle chassis, and as such, it's 4-lug. But the car, when it came in, it had 4-lug centerline wheels on it that just looked completely out of place on this car. I mean, I'm actually a pretty big fan of centerlines, but on a sports car or a roadster like this, they just looked really bad. And the other thing is that the offset of them was also not very favorable. And of course, as you've noticed, this is a wide body Speedster replica, so it needs some meat to fill out these big old fenders. So the wheels that were on there didn't have a very favorable offset as far as pushing them out, and there were no spacers or anything on here. So the wheels were all, relative to where you see them now, they were all like 2 3/4 inches or so, maybe even closer to 3 inside that way. And so they just looked really, really silly and really out of place on this wide body car. And so I put on a set of 5.5-inch wide Mobile Wagon Interceptor wheels here in polished. And they do make these, as you can see, for 4-lug cars. The 5-lug wide 5 ones look better because they've got the bigger pattern, which would be more appropriate for a Speedster or an early Porsche. But, these still look a lot better than centerlines. And the offset of them pushed the wheels out some more in this direction, in the right direction. So like another maybe 1/2 inch or so. And then I also added 2.5-inch spacers front and back. So again, between the wheel and tire combo and then the spacers, I think I moved all the wheels out about 3 inches. So huge difference there as far as getting these to, more kind of properly fill out the wide body bodywork here. Yeah, so much better. So the engine of the car is kind of another story. If I can get this deck lid open here. There it is. So it doesn't look great, but this is, believe it or not, this is the vastly improved version of how this engine looks. When it came in, it was filthy, like it had just never been cleaned ever. And so there was just layers of dirt and grime everywhere. So I spent quite a bit of time kind of degreasing and cleaning it to the best of my ability. And then the wiring, which still doesn't look great, but again, trying to not, sink way too much time into it. I sort of cleaned up the wiring, rerouted some things, got it looking, again, vastly improved, still not great, which I'm not happy with, but this guy doesn't have a limitless budget, so I'm trying to be respectful of that. Put new air cleaners on it because the other ones were in very poor condition. And then I replaced his entire ignition system. So actually his spark plugs were fine. I replaced everything except his ignition, except his spark plugs. So the spark plug wires were very bad. They were very crispy, and the outside of them was like cracking, and I have no doubt they were leaking, probably even worse than this one was. So I replaced those, and then his coil was weak, so I put on a good used Bosch blue coil on there. That helped, but it still just was very hard to start and so on. So finally, I put on a new 009 distributor with electronic points in it. I believe his condenser on his distributor, which was also a 009, was going bad. And there was something wrong with that distributor where instead of having the normal like 20 degrees of advance measured at the crank, it had probably at least twice that. So really hard to make it run right without having it just be way over advanced, or it was just a mess. So new ignition system, a new distributor, new electronic points, good used 009, or excuse me, good used blue coil, new wires, etc. Starts really well now, runs much more smoothly, and yeah, so big improvement there on the motor. Still to do, he asked if I could center this badge a little bit better, so I need to pop this grill off and do that, try and get it more in the center there. Shouldn't be a big deal. And then one of the other last things that I need to do is this handle is missing its button. Not supposed to be able to do that. So I bought a new pair of handles for it. They're only sold as pairs, so I'll just replace them both. But yeah, those are still to go on. Straightening the steering wheel out, horn button, and I think those are about it. The only other sort of major thing that I did was I replaced his windshield with a new one. So the owner is sure he didn't do it, and the tow truck driver is sure he didn't do it. But when the car arrived here at our shop, it had a big crack across the windshield over here. You know, everyone was sure they didn't do it. We know we didn't do it because it came off the tow truck that way. But anyway, so yeah, I was able to secure a new windshield for it and installed that a day or two ago. And getting rid of the crack aside, it looks much better. I don't know if the other windshield had a lot of scratches in it maybe, or maybe it was foggy, but I definitely noticed the big difference in how the car looks with the new windshield, even though I hadn't really noticed the other one being that bad except for that crack. But apparently it was ugly because the car just looks overall a lot better with the new windshield. So yeah, this car is probably leaving later this week, so I wanted to kind of take the opportunity to do sort of a final walk around of it. I will, if it ever stops raining here, which might let up Wednesday, I'm going to try and take the car for a little spin and just do one last final check of it, and then post that up. The only other thing that I think I forgot to mention earlier was with respect to the brakes. Went ahead and inspected the brakes at all four wheels and the master cylinder, and it had, I think, one rear brake wheel cylinder was leaking, and of course we replaced those in pairs. So it got both new rear wheel cylinders, and then of course we went through and bled the system, checked it all out. So brakes work really well now. But yeah, just kind of a lot of things like that stretched out over the last couple months or so. But yeah, totally transformed this car. I think the owner is going to have a lot of fun with it. It is a super fun car to drive. I've taken it around the block once, and yeah, it's actually really a fun little car. So I think he's going to enjoy it a lot. So again, look for a driving video, maybe midweek coming up here, and you'll probably see it on day in the life episode here, time or two before it leaves as well. So thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you again soon. Bye.